Given the steep rise in anti-Semitism and racism, what will you do during your term to combat such hate and encourage bridge building between people of different backgrounds? Great question. The rise of anti-Semitism is deeply concerning. Far-right parties around the world are ascendant, and they cite Donald Trump as an inspiration and leader of their movement. It's incumbent on all of us, all leaders in and running for elective office, to use our bully pulpit to push back on hate and racism in all its forms. Oakland County is taking concrete steps to make our community, this great county, a leader in embracing our diversity and facilitating cross-cultural conversations. The U.S.-Israel relationship has become increasingly partisan over the last several years at many levels of government, including with city and county-based governments. Do you agree with this assessment? And how do you think that trend can be reversed? I agree that partisan fractures have occurred in the U.S. around the U.S.-Israeli relationship. This is disappointing to me because historically this critical relationship has had broad bipartisan support, and that support has served both countries very well. As the only thriving democracy in the Middle East, it's clearly in our long-term interest that this relationship be strong and not dependent on the political balance of power in the United States. It's critical that the government, not just at the federal level, but also state and local level, work to strengthen our democratic and economic ties to Israel. I will continue to oppose efforts like BDS that arise at the local level and can damage our relationship. And we will seek out proactive opportunities to strengthen Oakland County's economic, cultural, and educational ties to the state of Israel. Politicians and the public have understandably been focusing their attention towards COVID-19 and the racial divides plaguing our country. Therefore, other issues such as the immigration crisis have been decreasing in the public eye. How can we ensure that during this difficult time, immigrants to this country, especially those imprisoned at the southern border, are not forgotten? Powerful question. You know, the American conversation around racism and police brutality today are incredibly important. We must seize the opportunity to address systemic racism in our country, and I am committed to doing that in Oakland County. I hired the county's first Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer to lead both our internal and external efforts. You know, there's intersectionality between the racism that is pervasive within American institutions and the anti-immigrant sentiments commonly stoked by President Trump, which is why I am committed to making Oakland County a welcoming county to immigrants and refugees. We have to lift up our diversity as a strength that unites us all. What is your number one priority while you are in office? You know, when I became executive 14 months ago, we talked a lot about transforming this county and moving it into the 21st century in terms of access to quality health care, lifting up and celebrating our diversity, transit, and the like. And I am committed to all of those priorities. But if I had to stand here and tell you today, responding to COVID, protecting the health and safety of our residents, and recovering economically from COVID-19 has to be all of our top priority. And we will continue to follow the science and take strong measures to make sure that Oakland County remains safe and economically prosperous as we move through this pandemic.